the same day, Fabian Maidana, he's got an eye injury too. Hey, it's another edition of Coffee with the Goose. So glad you joined me for another show. Yes, I am the Goose. We got a great show for you today. Before we get any further, though, we must have our coffee, our Java, our medicine, our PEDs. Yes, it is all caffeine, right? My coffee very strong, like my opinion, and got some creamer in there to make it sweet, just like me. All right. We're still, the boxing community, that is us boxing fans, are still reeling from the news of Errol Spence Jr. bowing out of his fight with Manny Pacquiao in Vegas. Of course, that was scheduled for August 21st. He has been replaced. Yordenis Ugas, who was scheduled to fight on the undercard, will fight Pacquiao for a share of the World Welterweight Championship. But we're going to answer some questions for you. I did a little research. Why, how, who, what, where, what's going on with this? Anyhow, we got the word less than 2 weeks before the fight that Errol Spence Jr. had a torn retina in his left eye. It requires immediate surgery, and he is out. He won't be able to fight Manny Pacquiao, at least not until he has had his surgery and he is healed. And lo and behold, immediately, and a lot of you guys too, started in with the insults. We've heard it all. Errol Spence Jr. is a coward. He's a ducker. He's protecting the zero. He's a chicken. He's running for his life. He knows he's going to lose. I get it. We're passionate. But hold on a second before we rip Errol Spence Jr., after this, very surprising decision, because there's more to it. Scratch the surface and you'll see, well, you already know, boxing is a very dirty business. It's very corrupt. And we will see how this may be another example, and we'll explain why this happened, okay? Again, Errol Spence Jr. was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao for a unification bout for the World Welterweight Championship. It was, whoa, what a big fight. I was excited. You guys were excited. People were saying this is the biggest fight in the last, bigger than the Mayweather fight, because that wasn't really a fight, right? Biggest fight, and my God, we don't know how long. We're very excited. My producer Jude and I are going to Vegas, and we're still going to go, by the way. We're going to cover this Pacquiao-Ugas fight. But again, let's uncover the mystery of the Errol Spence Jr. eye injury, if there is one. Okay, don't forget, Errol Spence suffered he's lucky to be alive after that horrific car accident a couple of years ago after his victory over Sean Porter. He was drunk, driving without a seatbelt in a convertible. That's a recipe for disaster. Driving God knows how fast. Lost control. His car flips over 1,000,000 times. He's tossed from the car. Somehow he survives with his head on straight. No broken bones. This is just miraculous. His head was busted up though, right? Tooth damage. We've seen pictures. He looked rough, and it took him a while to recover. But recover he did. And he went on to fight again against Danny Garcia last year. And he won the fight. So everything's fine, right? No, everything's not fine. Okay? First of all, his chin was never really tested, not like it would have been against Manny Pacquiao. As good as Danny Garcia is, Errol Spence Jr., and I'm speaking from experience, okay? I'll give you the minor details. I know, when you go through something like that, you may look okay. You're not the same guy. Errol Spence Jr. knows this, and anybody who knows him knows this. I suffered a horrendous injury many years ago, 15 years ago. By the grace of God, I'm still here. But, I have my issues. I'm not the same guy. I know I'm just as handsome and smart. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not the same guy. You have to accept reality. Damage is done with me and with Errol Spence Jr. So time progresses, and now we get the announcement with the big fight with Manny Pacquiao. Again, a monster fight. Then we start seeing these two guys train. Okay? Then things become a little clearer. Pacquiao is a beast. He's fighting Father Time. He's slapping Father Time around. We see him training. He's the old Manny Pacquiao. He's knocking sparring partners down. He's a scary guy. He's always been a scary guy. But at 42 years old, he's still just as scary as ever. And we're watching these videos, and the Spence camp is watching these videos. And then we watch very limited footage of Errol Spence Jr. training. Plotting, methodical, no quickness. He's getting slapped around by his training, by his sparring partners. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Errol Spence Jr. Okay, then he bows out. So how does Yordenis Ugas get to take his place? Well, Ugas was going to fight in the undercard, right, against Fabian Maidana, right? And again, remember, Ugas was the one, the WBA took Manny Pacquiao's title away from him and gave it to Yordenis Ugas. So, Ugas gets to fight Pacquiao. We got a new story now, right? Pacquiao's going to get his belt back. Okay, that's fine. It's going to be a good fight. We'll cover that later. But again, we're going to continue to unveil what's happening here with the Errol Spence Jr. leaving mysteriously because of an eye injury just a week and a half before the fight. Well, guess what happened? The same day, Fabian Maidana, Yordenis Ugas' opponent on that same night, he's got an eye injury too. Yeah, the same day. You see where it's going, you guys? Again, boxing has never been known as a clean sport. We've seen robberies. We've seen strange incidents up and down throughout history. We've seen it forever. I mean, for crying out loud, Pacquiao's been robbed a couple times, 3 maybe. Yordenis Ugas, his 4 losses, 3 of those are robberies. I think one of them for sure. I think he beat Sean Porter. We'll get into that later. So boxing is not clean. And again, I'm not going to get into the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight and all the shenanigans that went on with that. But I will say this: the same people who were calling Manny Pacquiao a faker, he didn't hurt his shoulder, he didn't have a torn rotator cuff, he just got schooled. No, he did. He did have a torn rotator cuff, and he was a man. He stood up and did what he had to do. He signed a dotted line. He fought the fight. He lost. That's the way the cookie crumbles, right? But those same people who are questioning Pacquiao's honesty are not questioning Errol Spence Jr. at all. He's courageous. He's got to watch out for his health. He's backing up. Good for you, Errol Spence Jr. See what I mean? It's the hypocrisy is just rife in this situation. And before I get into the moral of the story, if you will, I want to say this. And I've said this before. A little reminder for just a couple of you guys who say you're a hater and do the race card and all that childish stuff. I've always respected Errol Spence Jr., and I still do. He's a good guy. He's a great fighter. I've never had anything against him. And to all of us, all of you who have ripped Errol Spence Jr. over the coals after backing out, calling him a coward and a ducker, slow down. It ain't him. Okay? It ain't him. He's following directions. He's, how do you find the answer? Where do you find the answer to all of this? Follow the money. Follow the money. It's gambling. Gambling is the kingpin, the cornerstone of boxing. It always has been and always will be. Okay? That's why we're seeing Spence back out and Fabian Maidana, another mysterious eye injury the same day. Here's why it's gambling, is the corner or the root of all, not the root of all evil, but it's just a reality. We saw who was the favorite in the Pacquiao Spence fight, the upcoming fight. Who was the favorite? It was Spence. Many of the fans thought, well, Pacquiao could win. I thought he would have won. There's no question. But most people and Vegas, the casinos, all thought that Spence was going to win that fight. But they saw what we saw. They saw the beast Pacquiao training, and they saw Errol Spence Jr. Missing something in his training, and they realized, uh-oh, Pacquiao's going to win this fight, and we can't let that happen. So they orchestrated this all out. Remember, with gambling, I've been to the casino, haven't lost much money, okay, just for fun. You may lose money, you may win money, okay? But the casino never loses. The house never loses. The gamblers, the gambling community, if you will, they're going to win because they're the ones calling the shots. And they're calling the shots here. That's why we saw the big switch with Marcos, almost said Marcos Maidana, Fabian Maidana, and Errol Spence Jr. suffering mysterious eye injuries on the same day. And the big switcho-changeo, now it's Pacquiao and Yordenis Ugas. Still going to be a great fight. We're going to cover that very soon. But I just wanted to, clear everything up for you guys. It's not Maidana. He's a good guy, I'm sure. And Errol Spence Jr. is a champion, a very good guy. And yes, he is courageous from what he's gone through with his, horrific car crash. I got nothing but respect for Errol Spence Jr. But let's, we're all big boys and girls. Keep your eyes open. Don't lose track of what's the cause of all of this. It's gambling. It's money. Okay? So there you have it. And by the way, a little reminder, gambling is like politics. We all wish it could be better, but we know. We all know. But don't ask questions. Don't say too much. Keep your head down. Be a good boy and girl and go about your business, because if you get mixed up in all that, it can hurt. It can hurt you. And I see nothing. I don't know anything. But I realize, and you guys should know too, that it's all gambling. Okay? But in the end, it's going to be a good fight with Pacquiao and Ugas. We'll cover that fight in our next show. Thanks for watching Coffee with a Goose. The number of subscribers keeps growing. We're very happy, very humbled. And thank you so much for watching. More shows coming soon. You guys take care.